Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And today we are going to be doing the final Senate map of the 2020 presidential elections. I'm also going to be briefly going over my final governor's prediction as well here. But first, I have to tell you guys about my friends over at Noble Gold. Now, what's going on with these markets? Right now, they're all over the place, and no one knows what's happening. Will they grow, or will they come crashing down? One thing's for sure, gold has kept people safe for thousands of years through wars, disasters, and financial troubles. That's why Noble Gold is inviting you to get safe with gold this time. They're gifting a solid gold, 24-karat American Gold Eagle coin in a spectacular display case with every qualifying IRA or 401k started before the end of November. Gold has been looking after people for thousands of years, and this time is no different. It's the only proven way of keeping hold of the value of your retirement fund no matter what happens out there. No call centers, no sales pitch. It's straight through to the experts who will give you your options. Noble Gold, when it really matters. So go to www.noblegoldinvestments.com and get the special coin offer, but don't hang around. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com. Again, that's noblegoldinvestments.com. And I'm going to be going over my final Senate map. I'm going to be making the calls. I'm actually going to show you guys the margins of the races here that are going to be close enough as well. We're going to go over those. But first, I want to briefly cover my governor predictions for this cycle. I do believe that these are going to be the safe states. Utah, North Dakota, Missouri, Indiana, West Virginia. Missouri could be within 10. But it looks like, I think that, knowing the polls in Missouri, Republicans typically have outperformed for the past few cycles. I think Missouri's going to stay solidly in the Republican hands. Also, New Hampshire, that is a state at the presidential level that will be somewhat competitive, but at the same time, it will be safe at the governor's level because Sununu is very popular. He leads every poll by over 20 points or so. So there's 3 states to go over. Vermont, even though it is Vermont, they have a popular Republican governor. I do believe he will win by a likely margin, if not a safe margin. And I do believe Republicans are going to flip Montana. Every single poll we've seen has the Republican John Fort up over Cooney in Montana. I do believe that he will win by around 6 or 7 points or so. As for the state of North Carolina, I do believe the Democrats are going to hold on, but it is my sleeper flip. You never know what happens because the polls in North Carolina typically overestimate Democrats almost every time. I'm going to put it as lean to likely. It's going to go around 5 points or so in favor of the current governor, Roy Cooper. As for Dan Forest, he has a shot, but it's not a very big one. I do expect Cooper to hold on, even though I do expect Trump to win at the presidential level. And we're going to get to that too. We are going to get to the presidential prediction tomorrow. I will be doing a video on it. So make sure you do have your notification bell turned on so you don't miss that. So we're going to start here. We're going to go through the Senate map here. There are 14 competitive seats here. There are a bunch of safe states that I have filled in. Yes, I don't see New Hampshire as being competitive, or Virginia, and I also don't think Alabama or Kentucky. Just because Democrats have dumped millions of dollars into Amy McGrath, it doesn't mean that she's going to have any shot to win the state of Kentucky. Also, Texas could be won by a likely margin, but at the same time, for right now, I am going to be putting it as safe Republican. So I'm going to fill out this map. We're going to start with Maine, and I do believe Susan Collins has a shot. And the reason why is because a lot of the same polling that has her down by 3 or 4 also has Donald Trump down 3 to 4 in Maine's 2nd district, a district he won by 11 points. And the polls underestimated him by roughly 10 points last time around. And if they're underestimating Trump, they are likely underestimating Collins. They underestimated Collins immensely in 2014, as well as 2008. So I do believe that Collins is going to win the first ballot. However, Maine decides to have ranked choice voting, and for that reason alone, I do think that Collins may lose in the ranked choice voting, so I'm going to put Maine as Tilt D. Although this is a possible Republican hold, I do think Collins is still very much in this. I just can't see it happening right now. So let's go down to the state of North Carolina. In the state of North Carolina, again, polls typically have underestimated the Republicans in recent years. They underestimated Richard Burr by 3 or 4 points or so in 2016, and Tom Tillis only led 1 poll, and it was a Republican internal poll in 2014 en route to his upset victory over Kay Hagan in the state of North Carolina. So I do believe that he's got a shot. Cunningham does have a scandal. Early voting looks fairly good for Republicans. Republicans are turning out at higher rates than expected compared to the actual registration statistics within the state of North Carolina. White turnout is up a little bit. Black turnout has dipped a little bit from the early voting that we've seen as well. And I do think Republicans are going to outperform the polls by several points. I think Tillis is going to win extremely narrowly. It is going to go down the wire. It's probably not going to be called until later in the night, but I do think that Tillis is probably going to win in the state of North Carolina. Going down to South Carolina, a lot of Democrats have actually hoped that they would have a shot to win a Lindsey Graham seat. And while I'm not really a big fan of Lindsey Graham, he is a neocon and all, I do think that he is going to have no problem holding on in South Carolina against a Democrat. I think that he is going to win by a likely margin in the state of South Carolina. A lot of the recent polling data has backed this up. He's up by around 3 to 4 points or so, and then there's several that are going to the Constitution Party candidate. I don't expect that vote share to be that high, especially because the Constitution Party candidate did drop out, even though he technically is still on the ballot. So we're going to go down to Georgia. I do believe Perdue is going to win by around 5 points or so. He's going to win by a likely margin. And the special election is going to go to a runoff. We can't really fill it in now. Republicans typically do extremely well in runoffs in the state of Georgia. We're going to put it as likely Republican, but I'm not making that as my final prediction for the runoff because it's obvious that the special election is going to go to a runoff at this point. I do believe that Perdue is probably going to win outright, though, in Georgia. So moving forward, the state of Michigan, this is a seat that could be a flip to the Republican column, but a lot of the recent data, including a leftward trend in the James internals that have been released, kind of point to it being a narrow Democrat victory. Gary Peters will hold on, although it's going to be very tough. And you'll see tomorrow in my final prediction if Donald Trump is going to be able to hold on to the state of Michigan, because the bases of Peters and James actually overlap with the bases of Trump and Biden. James will likely outperform Trump in a place like Oakland County. However, Peters will probably do better among union workers. He'll probably do better in places like Macomb County and maybe the rural part of the state as well, where he did extremely well in 2014. So we'll really have to wait and see, but it seems like Michigan is going to go for Peters, but with trends and polling errors in the state, it seems like it is going to be narrower than a lot of people are expecting. The state of Minnesota, again, a lot of polling has showed this race to be within 10, within 5. One poll had it within 1. Now, I do believe Tina Smith will hold on, but this is a sleeper flip, and Jason Lewis is a fairly strong candidate running in Minnesota. It's probably going to be close, but I do think Smith does have the edge in the state. She is the incumbent. Minnesota has not gone Republican at the presidential level since 1972. Even though it has a chance this year, probably not going to happen. But I do believe it is going to be close nonetheless. And if Minnesota's close, that means very good things for Republicans in places like Iowa and the state of Wisconsin. So speaking of Iowa, there's been a lot of polling in Iowa, and typically polls in Iowa for the past couple of cycles have been absolutely abysmal. But there's been one poll from 2016 that actually got the presidency right. It was the Des Moines Register poll. They've been good in primaries. They did miss in 2018, but in favor of the Democrats, they did have Hubble winning narrowly. Hubble ended up losing. They're the poll that actually has Ernst up by 4, and they have Trump up by 7. That's actually my prediction. I do believe Ernst is going to win by roughly 4. I think Trump is going to win Iowa by a likely margin again as well. So I'm going to put Iowa as lean Republican. The state of Kansas, this is a state where there hasn't really been a whole lot of polling, definitely not a lot of high-quality polling, but there have been some low-quality polls that have been fairly close. However, a lot of those polls typically do show Bollier being in the low 40s. That's more plausible. I think Marshall's going to do well in the western part of Kansas. That's where his district was. That's where Chris Kobach kind of fell short in 2016. and I think Trump will easily carry him to victory. I think he'll win the state of Kansas by a likely margin. Steve Bullock up in Montana endorsing court packing. That's a very bad sign. You're in a state that's very Republican. Endorsing court packing is a little bit absurd when you're trying to win a general election. It kind of leads me to believe that he's actually not trying to win up in Montana to begin with. But most polls have had Daines up. Daines has a lot of fundraising going his way too. So I do believe that Montana is going to stay in the Republican column by a likely margin. So already Republicans have 50 seats. That means if they hold the presidency, they hold the Senate. But there's still 4 seats to go here. The state of Colorado, Hickenlooper, the former governor, relatively popular, is going up against Cory Gardner, whose win in 2014, which was a red wave year, was a fluke. It seems like he's headed for victory. There has not been a whole lot of high-quality polling, but all of the metrics, as well as the early voting, is showing Democrats in fairly good shape in Colorado. I do believe that it will go to Hickenlooper by a likely margin. New Mexico, this is a sleeper, not to actually flip, but it could be closer than expected. You have Mark Ronchetti, who is a very popular weatherman, going up against Ben Ray Lujan for the Senate in the state of New Mexico, and a lot of the local papers have actually been endorsing the Republican candidate, so it could be closer than expected, and a lot of the polling has shown Ronchetti outperforming Trump by several percentage points in the state of New Mexico. So we'll have to watch that one. It's probably going to go Democrat, but it's going to go Democrat by a narrower margin than expected, probably by around 7% or so. So that leaves 2 states here. The state of Arizona. Mark Kelly and Martha McSally are facing off. McSally lost in 2018 to Sinema. Mark Kelly is an astronaut. He does have a little bit of crossover appeal because of that fact alone. Let's be serious here. And McSally was a loser in 2018, and a lot of conservatives question her track record as she was in support of amnesty at one point. Now, this seat was gone for Republicans about a couple of months ago, but McSally really has done a better job running her campaign. She has narrowed that gap with Kelly significantly. I do believe that Kelly is still going to win because a lot of the Midwestern transplants who may be more populist will probably vote for Donald Trump, but I don't believe they will come out in large numbers to vote for Martha McSally. I do believe that Kelly is going to win, although it could be by more of a Sinema margin. In the state of Arizona, I have it as lean Democrats. That leaves us with 1 state, the state of Alaska. You have a de-aligned independent in Al Gross going up against the current Senator Sullivan. I do believe that Sullivan is going to hold on. It really shouldn't be a problem, although he is getting outraised by a massive margin. Although the fundraising, if you look at the 2016 race, it really didn't correlate too much with the end result in Alaska. But a lot of polls that I've seen, and polling in Alaska typically underestimates Republicans significantly, has actually showed Sullivan in the lead. I really haven't seen any poll with Al Gross up. It's going to be around a 7-point win or so at a minimum, in my opinion, for Dan Sullivan. So 51 for the Republicans and 49 for the Democrats. Democrats flipping the Senate seats in Maine, in Colorado, and in Arizona. Republicans flipping Alabama's Senate seat. So 51 to 49 for the Republicans. Democrats had a net gain of 2 seats. And in the governor elections here, Republicans flipped only Montana. It was the only flip of this map. 27-23, Republicans gained 1 governorship. And by the way, these are my final margins here for the Senate. I did want to put these up on the screen. I'll leave these up for a second here before we go. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media, become a member, donate to the Patreon, or subscribe. Star links in description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.